Trigger warning. Trigger warning. If you used to be a Boy Scout, you might want to turn this off because you're not going to like how terribly I explain some knots. Hi, welcome to the Superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today I'll be talking about knots, but more about remembering, curve of remembering, forgetting curve in my basement. Okay, the last time I was here, I was talking about in the flight instructor guide, which I have with me right here, this little curve of remembering. Did you see that? Remember that from a couple days? Do you remember that from a couple days ago? Okay, so I decided to do a little experiment. I decided to do a little experiment on myself to see if I could remember some things. Now, in my last show that I did, I was saying, well, maybe I'll do 3 knots that I want to learn how to do. But I was thinking that might be a little too simple. So I'm going to throw in a 4th knot that I'm going to learn. And then we're going to use the curve of remembering to jog my memory. And you'll have to trust me on this one. So I'm not just sitting here cheating and doing all these knots and I look so great. I want to see how much I forget and see if, is this right? You know, I'm really skeptical about information usually. It's like, and then I end up learning things the hard way. So it's like, okay, so what I'm going to do, I got my little rope over here. All right. And I was, so what the flight instructor guide says is that your initial training should be 50 minutes. So this morning I went and I took my little rope here, just this dollar store crappy rope. I don't know if I wouldn't use that on like, I don't know, mountain climbing or anything, but it should be okay for learning how to tie knots. I did it about 3 feet. That's not a bad length. Maybe I could have gone 4 feet you'll see for one of the knots I wanted to learn. So I just said, okay, what knots? Now, if you are going to learn something, and I was thinking about this too, that I never really learned any knots because I didn't care, but now I kind of do. So it helps if you care about what you're learning about. And so, yeah, I just know how to tie my shoes and I know how to do like, I call it just kind of just a BS granny knot, like, there we go. There's a knot. Use a bunch of those. It works for everything. So, and that was another thing too. I wanted to tell you guys about just a little story about knots. And in aviation, what we do is if you have an airplane and it's just sitting outside, a lot of places you'll tie them down to the ground because the airplanes, well, they want to fly, right? So if you had the wind going over the wing of the airplane just sitting there and it was a big tornado, it would just, hey, that's the same speed I fly at, and up the plane would go. And they can get pretty jittery if you don't tie them down. So there's usually some tie downs either to heavy bricks or some kind of lag that's right into the ground. And so so I was going to tell you about I always told students when we are tying down the plane after flight, and maybe we're putting the planes to bed for the night, and they'll say, well, what kind of knot should I use? And I knew this one knot. How did I do that? I haven't done it in a while. Oh, let's see if I remember that one. I would put it through a loopy-doop, I think, and then I had something like that. And I'd go like that. Something like that. Was that my knot? Nope. I guess I forgot it. But if I was on a plane, I'd probably just not even think about it. But so I had my one knot that I used. It was I don't know what kind it was. It was just like, yeah, do this. And it always stays. The rope will never be that taut, but anyway, the knot never let go. So whatever that knot was. And so I was always telling students, well, it's the old joke, if you can't tie knots, tie lots. So, but I had this one instructor. He was very, very gung-ho to start off with. And I mentioned him before. And so anyways, Mimo is the guy's name. And so Mimo started off at the instructing, and he wanted to do a really good job, right? So he looked all over the internet to find the absolute best knot for tying down an airplane. And he did. He found a great knot. I don't know what it was called. But we ended up calling it the Mimo knot. So what happened was it was some type of knot that if you keep reefing on it, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And so he made this knot, and it was like great. The rope was nice and taut. It was not going anywhere. And so I went out there to untie the airplane to get going one day, and I couldn't get it done. It took me like a half hour. I had screwdrivers out there. Like, I didn't want to cut the rope because then, I don't know, it didn't belong to me. So anyways, I thought it's just a knot. You can untie it. Then I'm like, I'm going to untie this knot. I got like all kinds of screwdrivers. I'll use a flathead. I'll use a Phillips. I'll use some pliers and see what I can get. Couldn't do it. And then I found out the secret was that you had to get the rope. It was tied down to the ground, and to there's like a little, I don't know, a little tie down ring in the wing. And if you brought the wing down a little bit and made it loose, then you could untie the knot. So I figured that secret out after about half an hour. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just know to do that. But other members of the club that I worked at and other instructors, they had no idea how to undo this Mimo knot. And so one time there was, and I didn't think much about it. People, it's just kind of word of mouth. It'll get round. But then this other instructor, Krishna, he was going to go take up this family for a sightseeing flight. And he had to get the plane untied. And so they're sitting there taking pictures of each other. And he's trying to get this knot undone. He's all sweating and everything. And I told him it's like, or he was having a rough time with this. And he's like, I can't get this done. And I said, okay, the secret is make sure maybe you can bring the wing down and make it not so tight. And I felt a sneeze coming on there. No, don't sneeze on the air. So he was like, I can't move the wing. And I was like, what? And I look over and I could see from a distance, you could see like it got reefed down. So Mimo reefed down the knot so much that you could see the landing gear of the plane kind of squishing out like this. Like the spring landing gear was like all loaded up. So anyways, as I was leaving with my next student, I said, well, figure it out, man. So he had the people that were just about to go on a sightseeing flight, he's got them hanging off the wingtip and stuff like that. It was the funniest thing to see. And then after that, okay, we can't have any more of these Mimo knots because, I mean, what's that look like? Oh, let's go on a sightseeing flight. My pilot doesn't know how to untie a knot. That doesn't really instill confidence. So unfortunately, I had to put the hammer down on that one, and Mimo stepped into my office. And well, actually, I think I did it publicly in front of everybody else because it was pretty funny. So I said, well, okay, first of all, Mimo, A+ on figuring out and doing your research. You found the absolute best knot that you could ever find for aviation. Where'd you find that? Oh, I found it on YouTube. Oh, okay, great. Don't ever use it again because I said it's fantastic, but no one can get that untied, so no more superhero Mimo knots. All right. And he was like, ha ha ha. And we were laughing about it. And then eventually, and I said, and also I pointed over to the door. I put a sign up that said, like, the little sign with the circle and the line through it. And I put Mimo knots. So it's like, see, you got to pay attention to the sign over there. And he started having a good laugh. So no more Mimo knots. So that was my little story about you don't want your passengers hanging off the wingtip of your plane to get a little bit of leverage to untie it. So, and then, hey, Michelle popped in here, and Bolo's here, and Jordan's here too. Good morning, everybody. And we're going to talk about, actually, is it morning? No, it's afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. We're going to do, okay, so the initial training that I did for myself today was 50 minutes. I practiced for 50 minutes, and okay, I learned 4 knots today. I got my perfect demonstration. I used, for each one of those, I managed to find a YouTube video that was about a minute long and somebody that knew what they were doing. So I actually got to see somebody doing it. And rather than just seeing a picture and then like, how does that go? A live demonstration would probably be best. And that's the way we teach people how to fly, is the instructor demonstrates it first. So the first one that I learned, I had learned this sort of years ago, kind of sort of, but I can never remember it. It was the bowline knot or the bowline knot, depending on. That's another thing about these knots. You find out there's like a million different names for the same knot. So the bowline or the bowline. And hey, Wrench, welcome. Welcome. And thanks for being the first person to say that you are afraid not. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate. I did this. So I should be at 100% learning right now. And let me adjust my camera here a little bit. I always like to get that little gas pipe up there in the corner. So it's kind of, I don't know, better framing. So anyways, here we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna do the drum roll, please. We're gonna do a bowline knot. Okay, and then there was weird ways I saw you kind of do this and you twist, and I don't know. I figured out I'll do what works for me. Okay, so I got my rope. I made this little loopy doopy thing. Maybe I'll get a little bit more rope. Okay, we got my loopy doopy thing over the top, under the bottom, around the tree, and back down the hole. Something like that. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Rabbit around the tree, Wrench. Yeah. I remember that I remember the rabbit around the tree and stuff, but I don't remember how to do it. So there's your bowline knot. Okay. That's just to make a circle, and that's not going nowhere. Okay. So there's my one. So I'm at 100% learning for the bowline knot. My next one was a sheep shank. That's for getting a longer rope, and then you kind of make it so it's a little bit shorter. That's the reason for it. And I just wanted to learn a sheep shank because I thought it has a cool name. And this is another thing that I saw that somebody did an improper demonstration. They said, make it like an S, and like to me that's a Z or a Z or backwards S. So they didn't do the perfect demonstration when they were doing it, but I got the hang of it. And then they said, make some half hitch something or other. And I was like, what? It was kind of confusing, but I figured, okay, so I got my long rope here. I'm going to do my sheep shank. And I just figured that looks like a BS granny knot. So I'm going to make a little BS granny knot around here. Something like that. Okay. And you got to keep some tension on it. Keep some tension on here over on the bench. Now we'll do this. And I put my little BS granny knot around here. Something like that. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work for demonstration purposes. It might fall apart on me. Anyways, that's pretty small. It should actually be kind of bigger. Did I do that wrong? Maybe. Yeah. How did I do that? It was like this, and you do your little BS granny knot. Oh, yeah, like this. Okay. So yeah, so that's kind of like that. Okay, so that's a sheep shank. So my long rope is now less. Okay, but sheep shank sounds really cool. And I thought it would kind of fall apart if you jiggled it like that, but it's not too bad the longer you got the loops out. Okay, 100% learning so far on the sheep shank. Next one I'm going to learn the rolling hitch, or I did learn the rolling hitch. See if I can remember it like an hour later. Okay, the rolling hitch was, I'm going to use that next year to tie off my tomatoes and attach it to. I usually get a stick. I'm using a broom right here. But yeah, so I usually have a stick, and then I tie my tomato cages to it. This year I did one. I usually put 2 tomato cages, but I actually put 3 around one big pole this year, and that worked out great. I think I'm going to do that more next year. And usually I've been doing some kind of over-under thingamajiggy, or just wrap it around a bunch and tie a whole bunch of granny knots on there. And okay, and then I just cut it off when I got to take it out, in the fall. But okay, I'm going to do an actual rolling hitch on this. So what I would do is I'll tie it to the pole, and then as my tomato plants, they kind of flop over, I'll get the big long rope, put it back up here, reattach it to the pole, and then that'll hold up the tomatoes. That's the thinking anyways. Okay, one rolling hitch. Let's see if I can remember this from the morning. Okay, remember it's supposed to go kind of like that. Now, this is not a perfect demonstration for you guys. Go find that somewhere else. This is just really, can the old man remember this? I think it's got to go like, like this, up, over, under, thingamajiggy. Oh, around here, back through there. I was going to do like a clove hitch, but that didn't seem to be the right knot for what I wanted to do. And it seemed a little too jiggly. Okay. So this is designed. So we got this little tiny part. And then this is where your tension is. It's supposedly good to be attaching to a pole so it doesn't slide down. But this is really slippery rope and it's a slippery broom handle. So it'll probably slide. But anyways, okay, 100% learning on that one. Got it. And then the last one is a clinch knot. First of all, I saw the first website I saw, it was a fisherman's knot. Then I Googled it again and someone called it a clinch knot. And then I Googled it again and then they called it the improved clinch knot. So there's like 3 names for this knot. Okay, so I'm going to imagine, and that's how you attach a fishing line to a fish hook. But anyways, we'll call this my fish hook. And I remember this is a very stabby kind of knot. That's how I'm going to remember it. And it uses up a lot of rope too. I'm going to stab her through there. And then you come around. Yeah, and then you got to wrap it around. And then you wrap your fishing line around here. They say 4 to 6 times, so I'll do it 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it uses up a lot of rope. I don't know. Might have to redo that. And then, how did I do that? Oh, then you do the little stabby knot again through here. Okay, you might not see this, but I gotta figure out how to do this. Okay, I stabbed it through there. Like I said, this is not the perfect demonstration. Goes around, back through there, and then you take all these little guys and cinch it up here. Something like that. And it's kind of like a little slip knot type thing. And then, yeah, so you do that on your fish hook like that, and then you snip off whatever's left over. Okay, so there you go. So that's 4 knots. I remembered 100%. So the next thing that the flight instructor guide says is that you should, okay, the first review will be in 2 days. So I'm not going to, you're going to have to trust me on this, that I'm going to shut off my brain for a couple days. Honestly, it's not that hard. So anyways, I'm going to shut off my brain for a couple days. And then I'm going to come back on Friday. And I'm going to do 15 minutes of review. I think I'll do that right on camera. And you can see me screw up. And then that'll be proof. Of course, I can fake that too, right? But fake news. Superpilotish is fake news. All right. Well, I'm going to throw that over there. And yeah, so review it 2 days and then 7 days. And then the third review is after 28 days. So we'll see if I can remember. I should be able to remember 70% of all that knot stuff. So there's 4. I figured 75% of, yeah. So I should be, there's probably 1 knot I won't be able to get. I don't know, something like that. And yeah, that's, we'll see how it works. And okay, do you got any questions here about memory or learning or airplanes or knots? Well, don't ask me much about knots. I'm not that much of a pro. But yeah, that's about it for today. And yeah, so see you on Friday at noon, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And I'm going to do my 2-day review of my knots. All right, shutting my brain down. Looks like it's time to shut her down. All right, so thank you for watching. All right, bye.